Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of Track Talk here at Shenington for Event 6 of the Wera Tools British Kart Championships. Longer than normal Track Talk this week to try and, well, if you're watching this on Saturday lunchtime, give you something to watch over the course of lunchtime. We're here with Chris Derrick, who regular viewers will know from our earlier bits through the season. Chris, back again here in the scutineering bay. We've talked before about the technical aspects of the karts, you know, making sure that the drivers and the teams are complying with the regulations with their, like, touching the surface machinery. But PPE is something that we've not talked so far this year. It's a huge part of what the team do here in scutineering, isn't it? Oh, absolutely.
Safety is our prime concern. We start off with safety, and then as the role as chief scutineer is to make sure you have a duty of care for all your drivers and entrants and anyone here, really. You have a duty of care to keep them safe, especially the drivers on track. So we check their personal protective equipment, gloves, suits, boots, crash helmets, to make sure that they comply with the regulations, and then most importantly there's no damage, and then the equipment is safe for them to use for competition.
So William Smith has kindly lent us his helmet. He's out in about 10 minutes for his practice session as we're here on Friday. With a helmet, looks lovely with its paint job and everything, but what are you looking for when you're examining it?
Just looking for, first off, to make sure that it does comply with the current regulations. Certain drivers under 15 have to wear a CMR helmet, which means it's a lightweight helmet, so that if there is an incident, a heavy senior helmet doesn't damage any neck muscles. And then we're making sure that it's the strap, there's no frays, the buckles, and it's all working correctly, all the foam padding's in place. And then to make sure, there's a big thing at the moment with drying helmets. Your forced drying helmets with a hairdryer or a non-genuine helmet dryer, it can melt the inside of the helmet. And then also we're looking for any damage to the outside if it's been dropped, or anything's hit it, really, just that can affect the integrity of the helmet. Because you can replace a crash helmet. People only get one head, don't they? So it's really important that they look after their own kit themselves, and then we check in case people miss stuff that we're happy for them to use it for competition.
Got some gloves here as well, kind of a wider array as well of suits as well. Homologation also an important part of these, aren't they?
Yeah, we'll check their suits, boots and gloves to make sure there's no holes or wear that's just about to go through as a hole. Obviously, if they come out of the cart and slide down and there's a hole in it, it doesn't wear their glove, it wears through their skin. So it's most of it's just basic, really.
Absolutely. A good friend of mine, Sam Dimlow, I remember a few years having a crash here in Easy Cars as it was back then, and it's been the equipment that very much saved him from serious injury on that day.
It can certainly make the difference between injury and not having an injury.
As part of preparations, especially for, you know, people maybe getting into the sport, looking at it first time, have you got any tips of do's and don'ts in making sure that they have a trouble-free weekend regards the PPE?
It's really just getting up to spec on the regulations, make sure you've got the correct helmet for your age and where you're racing. There is a difference between motorcycle helmets and obviously competition helmets for motorsport. So they just need to make sure that they don't make an expensive mistake and buy the wrong helmet. But that's it's just reading the regulations, really, the paperwork, and making sure you buy the right helmet for what you're.
And the same for suits as well, of course. The big difference between karting and say road racing is the needs or not needs for fire protection.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of the internet auction sites seem to be flooded with copy suits that they're actually not abrasion resistant. They're cheap, but they're cheap for a reason, because they're not made to the proper specifications.
Good stuff. I won't take any more of your time, Chris, because I know Will's got to get his helmet back as well. He's just stood over there. But thank you for your time, and we'll catch up again soon.
Cool, thank you.
Fantastic, really good insight there from Chris, Derek. But as you say, particularly with karting, it's in terms of the gear. I know they always say all the gear, no idea. But knowing what gear that you need, particularly with the suits, goodness forbid that any of these drivers have a serious incident. But as I say, a good friend of mine had a bit of a bump just over there at Park Corner a few years ago, and having that abrasion resistance, as opposed to, say, a race suit that Lando Norris or Lewis Hamilton would wear in Formula One, where the fire protection is more their priority, with the protection of a single seat. You're not going to be making contact with the tarmac, but very different thing here in karting. Practice underway. This is FP4 at the moment. Over the course of the next, half an hour or so, we will give you a bit of a guide as to how people are looking ahead of this weekend. If you're watching this during the Saturday lunchtime, you'll have already got a bit of an idea. We'll have had the first set of heats. We'll have had the first set of times qualifying for this, again, double header for the Miami classes. The first time that the KZ2s have had a double header this year as well. Obviously their season now, it's underway. Suddenly comes at them very, very fast after their first round at Warden Law a few weeks ago. They've got this weekend at Shenington, and then in a couple of weekends' time we're down at Kimbolton, so we'll have a little bit of a look into their world later on. Hopefully not catch them as they're about to go out on circuit like we did at Warden Law. Let's have a bit of a walk and talk with some of our juniors though, because they've just come off of circuit after, as I say, their FP4. I'm going to have a step into... Do you know what? I'm actually going to have a step in and talk to Evan Purcell here. Evan, if you've got a quick word for us. Practice 4 just completed. How did it go?
Good. P3.
And a move this weekend, right, with the GGM team. We'll just step over to one side to let the rest of them through. Talk me through it. What can we say? George Gibbons Motorsport awning that you're in now. What's the reasoning?
Well, just decided to move because obviously the person around me just wanted to take a move, and I love it. It's a great team. They just have a lot of time for you, so yeah, I'm really happy with the move. Yeah, hopefully we can get a good result.
And a team that's got a good amount of experience. I know I've watched a little bit of their work in Europe so far this season. We don't see them as much here in this British Kart Championships paddock, but you're really happy with it so far?
I'm really happy. Everything's really good. Kart setup, engine. Yeah, thanks.
Good stuff. I'll let you go because I know you'll be having a bit of a debrief after that one. Jacob Backler running for MDL again this weekend. It's looking pretty quick in FP3 when I was having a little look at the times. Let's have a chat with Aaron Richardson if that's okay. Aaron, I say another driver who's just completed their 4th practice. Your 3rd one looked pretty quick. Did it feel good then?
Yeah, it felt good, but the car didn't feel the best.
I say, what do you think's behind that? Is do you know straight away what the problem is, or is it something you're going to need to work on a little bit to find out?
Probably just something I need to work on the car, but then I think when we change it'll be better.
And the power always very important round this circuit. It's long straights, it's big braking zones. What have you been working on ahead of this round?
Well, last week it was Super Pre, and we were really quick then, and we've been quick all day today, so hopefully we can try and win.
Good stuff. I'll let you go. Back to Fusion World. Who else have we got here at the moment? Aston Sharp. Actually, Aston Sharp's a driver I'd love to have a little chat with because he was another driver looking pretty quick earlier on in FP3. Aston, another ready to go, busy weekend in the British Champs, double header. FP3 looked pretty good earlier. Confident for you and the MBR guys?
Yeah, definitely. We're just testing different stuff, seeing if we can go faster, but we've been up there all day, so...
How much can you play around with things? Because it's a very established circuit. They said in the intro that it's almost as old as the sport itself. Is it in some ways even more difficult to find an edge around a track like this?
Yeah, there's a lot of fast and slow stuff, technical and hairpins and stuff. So you've got to kind of balance the kart to suit everything.
And the conditions feeling good as well. No rain in the air at the moment. It can be a bit unpredictable around here.
Yeah, hopefully it stays sunny. We've been fast, but I don't mind a challenge.
Good stuff. I'll let you go and get back to the team. Say the junior's very keen to get as much, extract as much performance and learning from from their time out on track. I think we've got a seniors group that's about to go out. We'll give you a little bit of an insight through the railings. We won't get right in because I don't want to disturb the guys and girls as they get ready for this session, but you can see what happens in a pre-grid ahead of one of these practice sessions. As we were just talking to Aston there, the teams will be trying out different settings. Not all of the sessions, for those of you who are new to this kind of thing, are timed. We are into that part of the day where the sessions are timed now. But yeah, this is really where the ante starts to build up across the course of the weekend. You can see Henry Gregory there. Henry Gregory, we've had another pop into the Vismo International tent earlier. So one of the interviews that you can see on the Karting UK YouTube channel. Noah Wolf, keen to see how Noah gets on this weekend. Noah was one of the drivers not here at Super Prix last week because he was competing at Kristianstad in preparations for next weekend when he's racing at the FIA European Championships in a different category. So it would be interesting to see how he can get himself up to speed. But in terms of the seniors so far, won't surprise many of you to know that Gus Lawrence was one of the fastest, or if not the fastest, driver earlier on for them. So yeah, it's looking competitive again. Eager to see how James Pashley gets on this weekend. James back in competitive action in this championship for the first time since last year. Finished in the top 10 in seniors last year, and a two-time TKM Extreme champion, of course. Let's head on into the top end of the paddock, because the paddock here at Shenington's almost in two parts. You've got the top end and the bottom end, because that's how a split paddock works. But we'll head on up to see who we can find. We have had some chats to a couple of people already today. Again, features and interviews that you can see on the Karting UK channel. So if we are skipping by, or seems like we're skipping by a couple of people, that's not because we don't like them, it's just because we've talked to them already, including Finley Lyons as an example. Fresh off a double win here last weekend at the Super Prix. Isn't wearing the E-plate this weekend for simple reasons. They weren't quite able to get some E-plates on the cart in time. So it's still number 81 for Finley Lyons, but very proud winner of the IAMI Water Swift category here last weekend for that E-plate. Luca Holmes-Ballack here this weekend as well. So another one of the synergies we've got. They've grown, they've doubled in the IAMI ranks for this weekend. So I'd be interested to see how Luca gets on indeed. Let's head on in to premium karting, because I get the feeling that we could be on for a really good weekend for this team. Couple of new drivers for them as well. Orion Mehta and Chadin Lee in the corner here as well. But Morgan Moore is a driver I really want to keep an eye on this weekend. Morgan had a very good run in Super Prix last week and has been one of those drivers I feel who's been knocking on the door of a really big result in juniors so far this year. We'll have Morgan step on in. Morgan, practice day, it's warm, it's hard work out there, but the pace is looking good.
Yeah, looking good. Just hopefully we carry that on through the heats and then into the finals.
Premium karting this season in things X30, it's been a really good season for you so far.
Yeah, I mean, with the British Championship, we've had a small bit of bad luck, but look, I mean, we can drop around, so just crack on with it now. Have a few good results, consistent, and yeah, keep going.
And do you feel like this weekend could be the one where you make that breakthrough? You know, you had a cracking result last weekend in the Super Prix, and no reason to suspect this weekend won't be different.
Yeah, look, I think. Yeah, the Super Prix was good, but it's back to the start again. So just back to the same cycle. You got to go through it again. So just keep it consistent. But yeah, hopefully this will be a good weekend. I like this track, so yeah.
How do you find working with this team as well? You know, whenever I come into the premium karting awning, whether it be here or in Euro Series, it always seems like a really professionally run outfit.
Yeah, of course, with Moose at the top. Obviously, with his experience, it's really well done. Yeah, it's really well run.
Hopes for the rest of the season? What are you kind of aiming for?
Look, I suppose, to be honest, I'm just aiming for just every race, just to keep it consistent. Like, I'm not really thinking about like championships or anything like that. I know there's a chance to get a good result there, but I think we just leave that out. Just treat every race as if it's just the same.
Good stuff. I'll leave you to it, Morgan. And thanks for talking to us. Joseph Davies here as well. Also looking for a good weekend. So yeah, good to hear from Premium Karting. They're, I say, not the biggest of the teams in terms of presence here this weekend, but a really tight, close operation there that's been doing some good things in 2024 so far this year, particularly next 30. You know, also we've got to give a shout out to Marcus Lutzio's efforts earlier in the season in seniors on a European stage. The other news from George Gibbons Motorsport, and I actually think this is one of the biggest pieces of news this weekend, the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice, yes, and we'll have talked about it already if you're watching this during the Saturday lunchtime show, that is the GP plate of Taylor Orridge. Taylor Orridge has switched teams to GGM, moving from Croc to GGM. Had a little bit of a chat with him earlier. He was being very coy. I asked him, like, what do we know? What's the story? What's the reason? He went, I just, felt like a change was right, did a bit of testing, was happy with the kart and how things were going. So, yeah, really intrigued to see how Taylor gets on this weekend. Another driver who had a very, very good run here last week. But again, that was a one-off event. It's sometimes when you get into the cut and thrust of a British Championships round, the racing is subtly different. There's maybe a bit more caution when drivers are thinking about championship points as opposed to an E-plate like on Oscar Kenny's kart there, and we'll have a chat hopefully with Oscar in a moment because he's been flying along here the last couple of weekends. But yeah, really, really intrigued to see how Taylor gets on, and of course a big race next weekend as well for a defending GP plate holder. Couple of drivers who are new to the championship here this weekend as well. Let's call Rashid Hilal and Ahmed Al Khalifa in. And gents, introduce yourselves for the track talk. What are your names and where are you from?
I'm Rashid Hilal and I'm from the Kingdom of Bahrain.
What brings you here to Shenington, Rashid? Looking quick so far?
I mean, not bad. The pace is there, but we can improve. We're here just to get some experience in other tracks and just to improve ourselves overall.
What would be the aim for this weekend? Maybe getting into the finals, because you've got two opportunities this weekend.
I mean, getting into the finals would be great, and maybe getting a good position in the final would be a good result for me. I mean, mid-pack or something like that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to the chat. I think we've got Ahmed here as well. How are we finding things so far?
Yeah, good. Doing good. Better each session.
You driven this circuit before?
Yeah, last week.
So you got last week as experience and then straight into the British Kart Champs. That must be quite a feeling.
Yeah, it's really nice. Better than Bahrain. It's like a lot of competition here.
I was going to say, I suspect it's not as hot here as it is in Bahrain.
No, not even close.
Are there any similarities with the circuits that you've competed on before to this one? As I say, this is a very old circuit.
No, it doesn't compete with Bahrain circuit. In my opinion, this is one of the best circuits I've ever raced on.
Well, I'm normally biased in saying, because I think this is one of the best because I live 10 minutes down the road. But if people from as far away as Bahrain say it's one of the best circuits in the world, then it must be true, right?
Yeah, it's really good.
Good stuff. Well, best of luck, guys. We'll be keeping an eye on how you go for the rest of the weekend. But yeah, great to see new drivers here in the Wera Tools British Kart Championships, and yeah, we wish them the best of luck. Quick note on Vismo, we've got a chat with Aaron Brown, whose kart is not here at the moment because it's out on track, particularly talking engines. The tuning of the engines in these categories, hugely important to try and get out. No, we're not even talking 1% here, we're talking 0.5% more of performance. So we've got a very interesting chat with Aaron about how he balances the mix of not only being a driver and a very accomplished driver, but also working on the tuning, working with his customers, such as Henry Gregory in the tent alongside him. So when that's out on the Karting UK platform, do go check that out. It was a really, really good piece of knowledge really from Aaron. Hopefully we can have a little chat with Daniel Ferguson if he's not too shy. I think he's getting ready for a session. Big question this weekend is, can anybody stop Alfie Davidson? I think this young man reckons he could stop Alfie Davidson. Daniel, how are we feeling ahead of this weekend?
I'm feeling good, and I feel like I can win this weekend and stop Alfie Davidson.
How did last weekend go? I believe you were here for Super Prix?
Yeah, I qualified second, and then I won both heats, and then I came third in the final. I didn't defend on the second lap, and I lost potentially a win.
But the positive is, you know where you could have raced differently and what you can build upon.
Yeah, I know what I could have fixed.
Tell us a little bit about your kart as well, because I can always spot it out on circuit with a very distinctive livery, and you know, the sponsors that you've got. You've got some fairly big sponsors on this kart, haven't you? He's counting them up.
6.
6 sponsors, and then the big Ram Racing logo on the side as well from your dad.
He made it. Ben made it.
Ben made the logos. But no, it's an absolutely beautiful looking machine. Who would you like to thank for getting you here today?
Ben, Danny, my parents, my brother, Beth, everyone who helps me.
Fantastic stuff. Well, best of luck for the weekend, Daniel. I know you'll give it your all, and really good to see. How much time we got? We've got plenty of time, but I think now we'll head on down into the main part of the paddock. We've done the top half of things. If you've missed any of the action so far, not just this weekend for Event 6 of the Wera Tools British Kart Championships, but any of the race days from the 5 meetings that we've had already, and of course the O Plate, which kicked us off at the very start of the season. You can watch it back on the Karting UK YouTube channel. All of the features, all of the interviews from this weekend and others, and plenty more to come across the course of the season. Great to be bringing you it here with in conjunction with Motorsport UK and Alpha Live. We'll head back on. We might head back on into the paddock, because I want to have a chat with some more of our drivers in Miami Water Swift Restricted, because yes, the form book would suggest that it's Alfie Davidson's title to lose. He's had no scoring stage in the championship worse than second place. The vast majority of them have been first place. But what we saw here last weekend, and it's pretty similar conditions to last weekend, is that I do feel everybody has, a good number of drivers have raised their game over the last couple of weekends now, and it's going to take a really big effort to wrestle that first place in the championship standings away from Alfie Davidson. But the beauty of motorsport is that it's all there to play for. And a driver who's been going very well here at Shenington last weekend, so far this weekend, is Oscar Kenny. Oscar, really good pace. E-plate proudly on the kart. You must be pretty happy right now.
Yes.
How are you feeling? How's your practice been so far today?
Practice has been good. It's been nice and consistent.
And the great result last weekend, you've got the E-plate on your kart now. Has there been anything that you've changed from last week, or is it just go out and do the same thing again, do you think?
It's just go out and do the same thing again.
Do you think the races will be different in a way? You know, sometimes for a plate race, it can be quite how should I say, boisterous, a little bit physical out there. Do you think it might be a bit calmer this weekend?
Yeah, I think it'll be calmer, but still nice and hard, fair.
Good stuff. Who do you want to thank for the victory from last weekend and everything that's happened so far in build up to this weekend?
I'd like to thank my mum and dad, the whole of my sponsors, and Johnny from Velocity.
Good stuff. We'll leave you to your practice session. We'll have a chat with the driver who was second here last weekend, a driver who knows this circuit very well. Chester, very quick word. Good to see you. Feeling good this weekend?
Yeah, hopefully we can come out on top. So far this season we've just been third in every final, so hopefully we can win today.
So you've had a really battling season. I know that sometimes the start of races have been a bit difficult, but you've always got your overtaking shoes on and you're always able to pull your way back through.
Yeah, it's just about track position at the start. If you're not in a good place, you're just going to get overtaken by everyone. So it's just about you need to get your head down at the start and go.
And even though you're very young, you know this circuit very well. How are you so quick round here?
Well, I've been round this track like about 20 times and I've just figured out the lines, and it's quite a tough circuit, but once you master it, you're good at it.
Favourite corner?
Probably Cafe.
Good stuff. We'll leave you to your practice session. Best of luck for the weekend, Chester. I know I've been saying it since the very start of the season. I like this kid. I think he's got a really good attitude. He loves his racing. And it's great to see his confidence coming along as well. We will have a very quick chat, if we can, with Alfie Davidson. Alfie Davidson looking cool in the shades. Give us a fist bump, Alfie. Alfie, championship leader. All eyes on you ahead of this weekend. How are you feeling?
I think we had a little bit of a dip last week with what happened, but we have to keep our heads up within what's happening. It's our first loss last week, but we don't care. We just need to keep on going. Yeah, I'm feeling confident about this weekend. I think we have a good chance. We've got the speed to go to the front. Yeah, so I just need to keep calm and work my way through wherever I start.
Good stuff. I'll let you get into the pre-grid. Thank you for talking to us, Alfie. Yeah, again, I really like the attitude of these drivers in restricted this year. You know, considering how young they are, we've got drivers as young as 8 years old out there, and they're always so professional in the way that they talk, the way they approach their racing. They have the ups, they have the downs, but they take everything in their stride. Austin Gibson looking good. We had a chat to Austin earlier in another one of our interviews as part of the We Are the Champions series. I think by his own admission, it's not quite been his year so far, but it's a very competitive class in the intermediate category in Water Swift, and he's already looking towards next year to get better results. You know, you've got to remember, you've got your championship leader Will Green, who is pretty much winning everything in sight so far this season. You know, the experience that Will's got this year, I think, is really, really showing so far in Miami Water Swift, and may well that be the case for some of the others who took that step up from restricted over the off-season from 23 to 24. Let's head on out, because I want to try and get a little bit round more of the bottom end of the paddock as more of our drivers head on in for their Miami Water Swift practice. So Freddie Wood there, looking to have another good weekend. I think there's a real positive vibe this weekend with the drivers and those who, you know, may have got a decent result in the Shenington Super Pre meeting last weekend, and they're going, yeah, I can do it round this circuit. Let's just repeat again, or as we were talking to Daniel Ferguson earlier, know what didn't quite go right last weekend and just look to execute things a little bit better here for the Wera Tools British Kart Championships. As I say, we'll head on into the lower half of the paddock. Good field again here this weekend. She's in the focus zone, but Sukumani Kira looking quick so far this weekend as well. Another driver who ran strongly last weekend, Luca Narroway as well, we spoke to earlier in the season. These are all drivers heading off for their fourth practice session. Walking past the race centre as well, where Nigel Edwards and everybody have been doing their briefings of the drivers ahead of the weekend. We'll give the folks a little wave and see if we get anybody back. There's Nigel, gives us the thumbs up. We'll be a busy man next weekend, of course, as well. All of the details you can watch and follow on Alpha Live and of course DDM for all the different races that are going on next weekend. Now we've filled and padded enough time to get over to the bottom end of the circuit for the bottom end of the paddock. Jade Racing Team, big weekend for Jade Racing Team. They know this circuit very, very well indeed, and based on previous results, you know, you would expect them to have a strong run here once again. We mentioned James Pashley. James Pashley is back. Good to see the number 9 in action once again in Senior X30. A while since we've seen James race at this level. He's not been to the first 2 rounds of the season, but in a way, I think that makes it even more exciting for a neutral like me in the commentary box. I'm expecting to see a feisty, attacking James Pashley this weekend. He doesn't have to worry about championship permutations, championship points, anything of that. He's out to win here this weekend. And that could produce some pretty exciting racing. Going further in, we've got a few of the juniors, I think. No, the seniors are out at the moment, or some of the seniors are out because Noah Wolf in here again this weekend. We mentioned Ryan Patel looking for a good run this weekend. Laith Khan as well. But I want to try and get round the same fact. I think Dan will just hop back out of Jade and hop back in again because we talked about KZ2 in the lead up to this. You know, we saw them at Warden Law for the first time this year. So far, based on what we saw last weekend and what we saw in FP3, this is the fastest KZ2 in this paddock at the moment, and it's the KZ2 of Ella Stevens. Ella Stevens, the 5 plate has gone, the E plate is in because of her victory last weekend, and I'm hoping that we get to see a bit more performance and a bit more luck along the way for Ella that we saw at Warden Law. There were those flashes, a couple of issues in the first round meant that we didn't quite see the full talents of Ella Stevens last weekend, but everything so far is indicating that things are going to be going well. I thought I saw Ella around. It'd be good to get a bit of a talk through of one of the KZ2s and what they've been working on, but don't think she's quite here at the moment, which is not a problem. Maybe we'll have a further chat when we do paddock show later on in the weekend. Right, let's head on through as I have another little cheeky look at my notes just to remind myself if there's any other notes. No, I don't think there are. Evolve here again. James Roots was looking good for them. FP3 was a P4 for James Roots. So expect to see some good things. Another one of our solid point scorers so far this season. Making our way down, more racing. News from them in FP3. Obviously, if you've been watching on the Saturday lunchtime show, you'll have even more news at this point. But in terms of their performance, Jake Weston was the fastest of their drivers earlier on in the practice session. Miles Murphy was P7. Josh Price, a little bit of work to do. But again, it was only free practice. Driver leading the championship after round 1. Looking pretty strong for another positive weekend with the 2 karts as well. Lots of different settings being played with there by the Moore Racing team. Fusion World. We've already had a chat with Alfie Davidson. We saw that he was 3rd earlier on in their free practice session. Half the awning is empty at the moment. That's because we've got all of our Water Swift runners out on circuit. There's Lewis Mackey. I've bothered him enough already today. Very big congratulations. And thanks to you who voted and nominated as well, Lewis, for winning the Wera Tools Excellence Award. So that's an award that can go to anybody in a paddock. It could be a driver, it could be a mechanic. But the efforts that the Mackeys have been putting together on that kart this year, not just at a British level but a European as well, have been really impressive, and that man there has been a very, very big part of it. Let's have a little talk about how things have been going in juniors. Again, we talked to Aaron Richardson earlier, P4 in his group. Harrison Mackey was P4 as well. Riley Cranham looking quick again, was 2nd earlier on. And also, whilst we're giving shout outs to Fusion drivers with strong free practices, Freddie Lloyd was 2nd in his practice as well. Let's head on down. I say, don't worry, Lewis, we won't bother you again for at least this weekend. Because I do want to have a chat with someone about power settings, because this is very much the definition of a power circuit. In fact, yeah, that's a really good idea, Lewis. Let's talk to Freddie Lloyd. Freddie Lloyd, come on in. Free practice look good? You happy?
It was all right.
It was all right. Setup, how do you get it right round here? Because it's a power circuit, but at the same time, you've got some big braking zones out there.
I don't know, I'm not a mechanic.
I mean, that's a fair enough answer. It's a truthful answer, and we'll move on. We'll move on from there and head on out. Rush Performance. You know what? I'm sorry, Dan. I'm hopping you around all over the place. let's go into rush performance. See if Charlie Turner is around or Ashley Lewis. We've got no drivers, to be honest. It's mechanics that I wanted to talk to anyway.
Mechanics? Well, there ain't any.
There's no mechanics in here apparently. KZ2s, how do you get them round this circuit quickly? Because it's a power track. As I say, we just had the same question to one of the Fusion drivers, and they gave me a non-plus answer for this.
Right, okay.
But for you guys, far more technical pieces of machinery.
Yeah.
Getting off the corners is so important, down at Stratford and where those heavy braking zones. But you've got that balance with top speed as well. I imagine gearing can be a bit tricky around here.
Yeah, and grip as well, I would say. So as long as the driver is comfortable between front and rear, then yeah, I would probably say as long as the driver's happy and he's got plenty of grip front and rear, then it's all really up to the driver, if I'm honest. And then yeah, gearing really can just depend on how you're driving out of a corner, as an example, or you can use it wisely and go either shorter, longer, etc. But again, it's all mainly down to the driver, if I'm honest.
Something I know I've talked about to drivers and mechanics before with KZ2 is obviously you're running a very different rubber compound to the single gear guys, and then you've got the unique bit here of you've got your own Stratford corner hairpin. Where does that mean that the balance can change a little bit in that corner versus where there's been different rubber laid down elsewhere on track?
That's probably more of an answer, or a question I should say, to ask an actual driver, if I'm honest, because we just observe, and then depending on what driver feels, then we act on it accordingly.
Good stuff. We'll leave you to it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the insight. Because yeah, it is a bit of a one of those classic karting nuance things of round here. You have two layouts. You have the just over 1 kilometre layout for those who are non-gearbox, and then the longer run down to Stratford Corner, to the other Stratford Corner, for the gearbox guys. So yeah, we'll see if we can get a driver's opinion on that. PF International Karting looking very clean, sharp, ready to go again. Gus Lawrence was fastest, as we mentioned in his practice session earlier. Archie Tillett looking for a good result as well. And yeah, we'll see if we can catch up with them later on in the weekend. MBR, we had a little chat to Ashton Sharp earlier, so they're feeling good ahead of the weekend. Let's move on, because we've still got a good chunk of this part of the paddock to go around. OMS, how have OMS got on? They've had some decent results so far this season. I think they're still kind of finding their feet at this level, at this British Kart Championships level, showing again just how competitive it is. But if they can string a weekend together, I think we could see one of these guys potentially cause a bit of an upset, get on the podium. You never know what could happen in one of these races. Harrison Mackie, Riley Cradham, having a bit of a relax ahead of their next practice session. Argenti looking strong in free practice again, as they have throughout the entire season. Kenzo Craigie was second in his group. Thomas Min-Spearing third. Harrison Whitcomb sixth. But I still think in terms of race trim, Harrison Whitcomb will be feeling very confident, albeit in the other formula, albeit in Rotax, a tremendous Warden Law. And in terms of racing drivers, it doesn't matter what you're racing. If you're in good form, your racecraft-wise, you're in good form. And if you can continue that on, I think you could have another very, very strong weekend. Help as ever, you see Joe Turney there, who's on his duties of driver training here this weekend. And some nice trophies as well from competitions that Argenti have been competing in recently as well. I'm sure Henry will be keen to talk to us about. Let's have a little bit of a dive in, have a chat with Harrison if that's okay. Harrison, flipping back in, Miami mode once again. Yeah. Feeling good?
Feeling okay. I mean, we've been struggling with a bit of pace so far today, but we think it's more kart related. But just have to see. Hopefully, it'll be okay.
What have you been working on in terms of the setup? Is it a handling thing? Or is it getting the power out of the unit?
It's just a bit of the power, to be honest. But we just slapped on a different engine, so hopefully that'll be a lot better.
How many practice sessions have you got remaining today?
Just one.
Just one, and then into the cut and thrust of time qualifying tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
So how's that as a driver? Do you feel the pressure a little bit as you can, especially now in the second half of the season?
I mean, obviously the pressure's a bit more on when it comes to the later part of the season because you can't afford to have more drop rounds. But honestly, hopping in between the Miami and the road track's not much different for me anyways, so I think I should be all right.
Good stuff. We'll leave you to it because I know you're hard at work. But yeah, really promising weekend, or starts the weekend again for Argenti, and I know that as they properly work as a team in there. So they'll be looking to get as many of their drivers towards the front of the order, and then they can start to try and control these races, because it's another thing we've talked about. It being a power circuit, we've talked about, needing to get your braking right. Another thing that you have to get right is the strategy and what's going on up here. If you lose the toe around this circuit, and I can say this from personal experience of being one of those people who's lost the toe, races get long here very, very quickly indeed. And it is one of those circuits where we tend to see races go all the way to the last lap. I've even seen championships decided on this last corner here before as we go through Wilkins. So if you have got teammates around you, that is a huge advantage, especially when we get to the finals. And if we've not mentioned already, 2 finals this weekend, with it being a double header. Croc, have we got anything on Croc and how they did? I think Archie Owen probably the highlight for them in free practice, or at least free practice 3. Some of this news will be superseded, of course, by FP4 and FP5, but Archie Owen was looking quick this weekend, at least in FP3. I can see Ashley Hauser as well in for Croc as well, taking big steps up in juniors. A bit of work to do. We saw some issues for Ashley earlier on in the sessions, but not to worry. That's again what free practice is all about. Let's carry on up. I think we've got about another maybe 5 to 10 minutes. New warning alert. Geraghty Motorsport. More teams, new teams, growing teams. Cian, well, very, very experienced around this circuit. There's still a picture from him in his cadet days up in one of the buildings here at the circuit, but we've been seeing this 73 run pretty quickly so far this week, not just this weekend, but the whole season. And as I say, there's now a second Geraghty Motorsport prepared machine, the number 91 of Luca Mann in there as well. So we'll keep an eye on how things are going. Spoke to Cian earlier. I was like, "You feeling good?" He's like, "Yeah, very calm, ready for the weekend." And another driver knowing that a repeat of what he did less than 7 days ago will deliver a good number of points for his championship bid. Team BMR, obviously the team related with the British Touring Car team. What news do we have from them this weekend? Well, Austin Newstead will be looking for another good result. Austin's Kart in the corner there. Who else have we got? Hayden Eldridge was very quick in practice earlier. So keep an eye out for that number 33 Kart. That could be a bit of a surprise this weekend. George House as well. The moments looks like George House's Kart may be having a little bit of work on the jig, but you'd rather be doing that now than later tonight, or even worse on Saturday night after a problem on race day, and then trying to get it ready for Sunday, so the second race day. So yeah, we'll see how they get on this weekend. Let's head. I still want to try and find a KZ2 driver and ask them my probably quite boring questions about tyres. And down at the Stratford corner, what we're meaning by that is sometimes, well, any race tyre prefers to run on, when it's racing on rubber that's been laid down on the same compound. They don't like it when there's another manufacturer out there in another series or another category. And you see this at the top of the sport, of course, as well, in Formula One, when a Porsche Cup support race goes out, and the track doesn't quite feel right, and you have to take that into account. The difference, as I say here, is that there's one whole corner on this circuit, but that completely goes away because the Miami drivers don't run on their on the further version of Stratford Corner. I'm going to do my Henry bit because I've spotted a pooch paddock pooch. People are going to start running away from me as we poke ahead into Optima. It's not the drivers I'm interested in anyway, it's the pooch. Who have we got here?
Oh my God, this is Teddy.
And who does Teddy belong to?
Teddy is Charlie Myers.
Charlie
so
Myers.
He's Junior X30.
Junior X30, and is Teddy enjoying things here this weekend?
Teddy loves coming. He always comes. He's our little mascot. And he's been a particularly good boy. He is my good child, actually. The others forget it.
In terms of this weekend, how's the family feeling for this weekend?
Yeah, we're good. We've got my other son coming over. He doesn't race, but he's going to cheer on Charlie. He's over there. Just you need to embarrass him.
I'd say let's go get Charlie next. That's what mums do. They put drivers in it. Charlie, practice. How's it been going?
It's all right, I think, but I could probably do better, honestly.
Where are we looking to improve?
I need to press the brake harder into the last corner, apparently. But that's really it. The chicane, I'm not very good, but I've never been good at chicanes, honestly. So
I say that last part through Wilkins, it can be a bit. Have you raced much around here before?
I did E-Pit last week, and then before that, I did last month, and I haven't been here for like 10 months because I had a big accident. I'm out for 10 months and 6 months, and haven't had enough time to come back here.
It's definitely good to have you back, but you know that Wilkins corner, it can be a bit daunting when you've got to. There's a line down the middle just past the marshal. That's the only bit of advice I'll give you because I got it from Nicky Richardson a few years ago. But it can be a bit daunting, that one.
Oh yeah, well, there's 2 lines. In racing, it's tight, and then in testing, you can go wide as long as there's not 3 carts behind you, or else they're coming straight through, basically.
What would you be hoping for in terms of result this weekend, do you think?
15th, probably, because I know I have the pace for 10, maybe, but 15's possible. I'm not very good at racing either. I'm only really fast at testing. That's it, really. So
good stuff. Well, I know you'll give it your all, and we'll keep an eye out there. Always beautifully prepared machines in Optima as well. But yeah, for Charlie Myers, let's say good to have Charlie coming back. I say that is literally the only piece of driving advice I will ever dare give one of these drivers. In that, I remember from some of my own racing, and decidedly not as quick stuff around this circuit. That it is a corner where everything seems to tunnel into Wilkins, and it's like, oh, surely I should be braking now, and you can lean really deep into that corner. As I say, Nicky gave me a tip that gave me about half a second to do that particular corner when I actually knew what I was at least trying to do. We're getting towards the end of this one. We will skip round because I want to have a little trip into TWM. TWM have, say, not quite been there so far this season at the other circuits that we've been to with the Iamis, but this weekend they look absolutely on fire. Alistair Cresswell in particular has been looking pretty quick. So the man, you know, he's had an upturn in form, much like he's looking like in Formula 1. So let's see if Alistair or anybody else is in the awning who's willing to have a little bit of a chat to. Let's see if Mamsie Brathwaite's happy for having a chat. How's things in the TWM camp at this stage of the weekend?
Good, quiet, but been quite a good day, I think, for everybody. But yeah, it's been going all right.
I'd say some of the results at Super Prix last week looked really positive.
Yeah, I mean, like Ali got 2nd, he did, and we got 9th, and I think everybody in the team had a good weekend then.
What's key for a fast lap round this circuit, in your opinion?
I mean, like, of course, hitting every apex, but it's quite a grippy track today, so getting underneath the rubber and not letting it wash over the rubber and sliding out wide.
So for those probably a bit newer to the sport, what do we mean in terms of washing and getting under the rubber?
So getting under rubber is, so you're coming into a corner, you're braking, and then you want to turn in early because like it's a bit like reverse is like if you get on the rubber, it almost does the opposite and just slides out, and it's really not grippy. So you want to just stay underneath it where all the grip is.
And almost lean on it and then get that round the corners.
Yeah. So you also push back in the seat as well. and then you want to put all the weight on the tyres because you don't really want to be working the kart. You want the kart to work really for the whole lap. So yeah.
Anything that you're going to be working on in particular between now and the start of qualifying?
I mean, like tidying up a little bit around a couple of the corners and just finding the right setup fully. So yeah, but we have been quite quick all day, so I think it's going all right.
Fantastic. Thanks for talking to us, mate, and genuinely best of luck for this weekend. I'm hoping that we can see TWM getting some of their best results of the year so far. I still haven't found my KZ2 driver for talking about tyres. I think, how much time have we got? We've got about 5 minutes left. We might try and get that one in. We might have a bit of a second pass round into more racing and see if they want to have a further chat with us. But yeah, and I do want to try and get a little bit more depth into a KZ2, because I say last time we did one of these for Ward and Law, they were all heading out for a practice session. I might jump on my old buddy from the BUKC days, Miles Murphy, and see if he wants to have a further little chat with us. Pierce Sexton guys there having a bit of late lunch before they go out for their next session. But yeah, I think we'll see if we can finish up on with more racing. And you know what? I bet they've all gone out again. Yes, they have all gone back out again. Sorry, Dan. We'll head back up to the paddock and see if we could just about catch them with enough time left. Plenty more to come here from Shenington this weekend. Again, if you're watching this during the Saturday lunchtime, you've got more heats and finals to come up later this weekend as well. Yes, all the KZs have all headed down. They're not out on track yet because, well, they can't hear anything out on track, which either means that they're not out on track or I've gone deaf. One of the two. But just a quick shot of this, Dan, is one of the things I always love about this circuit is they have one grandstand and it's always packed and it's proper. I know I keep using this phrase, but it's old school, isn't it? It's a proper old school circuit that traces its history, its racing history, all the way back to the late 50s. You know, there's racing going on here in karts pretty much at the same time as, you know, other places. Silverstone down the road, of course, when things came over from North America for the beginnings of this. But it really is a special place, I feel, here at Shenington. It's great to have another one of these rounds back. Remember as well, you've got all of the racing on Sunday as well. It is a double header if you've not got the message yet. But yes, we'll be doing all this same programme again tomorrow we'll be giving the reports from time qualifying. We'll be giving the heats, so the coverage as well, and then going into those finals on what is due to be a really, really strong moving weekend, I feel, for the championship bids here this weekend. Unfortunately, despite our endeavours, we are not quite going to be able to talk to a driver today about how the track's feeling for the KZ2. This is something that I will say to Henry, we have to get tomorrow for the paddock show, which we'll film on Saturday evening. The simple reason being the drivers are in their karts ready to go. Having said that though, I do think there's a few karts out on track. No, I am going to try. I'm going to try with Josh Price, if that's okay. Josh, very quickly before you're getting in, I've got a burning question for the KZ2 fanatics out there, which is talking to some of the mechanics about setup around this place and how difficult it is, the mix of the long straights, the heavy braking, but also the change in kind of what's laid down in terms of rubber when you get down to Stratford Corner, and it's just your rubber as opposed to a mix. Am I thinking about this too much? Does it genuinely make a difference?
I think you're thinking about it more than we do, to be honest. I'm probably the wrong one to ask today because we're nowhere near, but yeah, I mean, it's very similar to some of the other tracks that we go to, sort of setup-wise, and nothing really has changed much there. But yeah, you're right. There is quite a mix of slow corners and fast corners around here at the end of the straight. I think we probably hit 89, 90 mile an hour. So it's pretty quick when you're rubbing along the floor.
And at places, you know, close quarters racing. You've got some big curbs out there. Is this one of the more difficult races to race these KZ2s around?
Usually everyone's quite close around here. Sort of historically, everyone drives around at nearly the same time. So depending on how tomorrow goes, usually it's quite close. It's quite close racing, but we'll see. I mean, it's you know, there's quite a few overtaking places here, so if it is close, it should make it good to watch and, you know, good to race and hopefully make it a good close battle.
How are you feeling very quickly, championship leader after round one?
It's too early, isn't it? It's one round, it's not enough, but if you ask me on Sunday, I'll have a better answer for you.
Good stuff. I'll leave you to it. Right, we're going to wrap up there for this extended version of Track Talk. Thank you to everybody who's talked to us, and keep continuing the coverage here at Shenington.